All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages. Why do it yourself is not transforming your marriage. So, if you've been listening to this podcast or doing some other things and you're not quite where you want to be in your marriage, today's episode will explain why that is. So, my name is Mike Frazier, MD. I am a psychiatrist and marriage coach for high achieving Christian men. I help them create more intimate marriages. So, some wins from the week. The guys in the program, they're doing so well and so fun to see. I got to talk with a guy and his wife too. Sometimes a guy will join and then their wife kind of gets more involved later on. That's often what happens. Just got to talk with them. They just were able to explain just how much great intimacy they were sharing with each other. How it was just like electric. The connection between them is so cool to hear. Another guy shared his wife told him that his wife told him that he was the best choice that she ever made. So just awesome, right? And just for me, myself, this week, I felt like I did a lot better job supporting my wife. She's been kind of recovering from a surgery. So I just did better than I had done in the past, supporting her, and that created intimacy for us. So it's good stuff. So what you're trying right now to transform your marriage, you're on this podcast, you're watching this YouTube video, you're probably looking at other ones too, which is fine, right? You're watching videos, you're reading books, and you're trying some of the stuff that you're learning, right? And you're seeing some results, which is great. Hopefully you've gained some things from this podcast and you're learning and things are getting a little bit better, right? But you're still listening because they're not quite at the level that you're hoping for, right? You want them to be a little bit better. You don't quite have that deep mental, emotional, and sexual intimacy that you want. You don't have the confidence that you'll be able to get through conflicts that you have and create more connection from them. You're not quite where you feel like you're best friends on things and passionate lovers on top of that. So what do? You keep digging, you keep looking, you keep reading, you're hoping to find like that silver bullet, right? That like one idea that's finally going to transform things. You're wanting to be independent, right? You're wanting to do it yourself. Okay. Maybe you're wanting to save money, right? But a lot of times it comes down to this, right? At least for high achieving guys. And I was like this forever. I didn't want to spend the money or get an outside perspective because I felt like I could do it on my own. I'd done most things on my own in my life. I'd been successful with school and career and finances and lots of things. So I figured, well, why can't I do this too? I should be able to do this too. But here's why it's not working. Okay. Despite your best efforts to learn and implement these things, you have blind spots. You just do. Okay. Everybody does. There's mental and emotional blind spots in the way that you think, in the way that you feel, in the way that you act towards your wife. You might think is a certain way, but it's really not. Okay. Just like you have physical blind spots when you're driving, right? There's a certain blind spot in your car. You have to kind of turn around, and even then, right, you don't see it, or like you can't see directly behind you. Like I can't see what's behind my head right now, and neither can you, just because of the way we're built, right, as humans. So one of my coaching guys, he shared this with me. He said, your eyes are in the wrong place to give yourself feedback or to see yourself accurately. I like that idea. It's true. We can look forward, right? So like if I'm coaching someone, I can see things that they can't, right? Because I'm looking at them. If someone's coaching me, they're looking at me so they can see things that I can't. It's just the way it goes. Okay. The thing is, no amount of self-learning is going to help you see those blind spots. Okay. Because you're still coming at it with your brain, with your perspective, with your experience, right? That's just the way it works. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just how it goes. Okay. You need an outside perspective to see those blind spots, to make the adjustments that you need to make. Okay. I didn't used to believe this myself, but here's my personal experience and why I believe this so strongly, right? Is, I learned a lot of things from a lot of different people. I did lots of self-learning. I trained as a psychiatrist. I went to medical school, went to residency after that. 4 years for both of those, right? So lots of training in the brain, how it works, how your body works. I did therapy with people. I did supervision of that therapy so people could watch me and observe and see if I was doing a good job, right? So of course I learned as I worked with other people, some things I was doing that were problems too. I read tons of books. I went to lots of courses. I listened to lots of podcasts, right? Probably did about as much education as you can really get in terms of what helps a marriage work, what helps your brain work, how your thoughts and emotions work. And I got good benefit from all these. Took really good steps forward in my marriage, was able to get things to a good level, right? And of course, I felt like I knew everything, right? And I thought I was implementing everything in the right way. Not that I thought I knew everything, but I thought I knew enough, right? And that I was implementing the stuff I knew in the right way. Okay. And I did see improvements, right? But I still wasn't where I wanted to be, right? I didn't have that mental, emotional, and sexual intimacy that I wanted with my wife. So finally, right, and it took a lot of things for this to happen, but like finally, I actually humbled myself enough to go to coaching with my wife and get this outside perspective. And the reason we went was I had this we use this term identified problem. Like, this is what you say the problem is, but it's not actually the problem, right? What I said the problem was, my wife doesn't like sex because she had trauma in her past. And that was our story between the two of us. And we both kind of agreed with that. But in the very first session, right, what this coach uncovered was this really serious problem between the two of us and how we related with each other. How I really felt like I was kind of the hero, and she felt like she was just, the victim needing to be saved, and how just I was treating her really horribly in a lot of ways, ignoring things she needed and wanted. There was a lot to it, but I saw a lot, and I helped guys kind of see that too, because she was able to help me see it. This coach was a woman that helped us. Um, and the way I saw it was, man, like a lot of this is me, right? More than I would have ever wanted to admit or realize before. Like, a huge part of this was me being a problem, the way I was relating to her being a problem, the way I was thinking, feeling, acting, problem, 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 right? And look, despite all of my training, look, I was a psychiatrist. Like, I should have seen this stuff, right? If anybody should have seen it, it should have been me. On top of that, with all the study I did, with me coaching other guys, even, like, you'd figure I could see it myself, but I couldn't, right? And this is why, right? Because we have blind spots. We can't see our own patterns from inside of them. Esther Perel, another great therapist, she shared this with a couple she was working with, that when you're inside the tornado, you can't see the tornado, right? When you're outside of it, you can see it more clearly. And that's just how it is, right? So I'm not different than you guys. Like, I need an outside perspective too. Um, so the impact this had was huge. Like, I actually had to leave and be alone for myself for a few days because of how hard this hit me and how much I realized, like, I'd missed it. I'd missed all of this, and I had really been behaving in a really terrible way towards my wife, and I didn't think so, but I really did. I came back really believing and understanding she had every right to actually end the marriage. Like, it was that bad, the way that I had been treating her. Now, what happened because of this is that we actually had more intimacy than ever, because she actually started to feel safe for the first time, because she could see, hey, like, it's not all me. Actually, it's the way that he's behaving. That's a big part of our issue, right? A big part of why I don't have that attraction. I don't feel safe with him, right? Because of the way he's behaving and acting and thinking towards me. So it's huge for us, huge for us. We're able to turn things around in an amazing way. So the point of this is, right, I would never have seen this pattern on my own. Never, right? Or, I mean, maybe it would have taken me 50 years, but like, instead of taking 50 years, it took like 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks to really see this clearly, right? Really, just after the first session we had with this lady, I mean, it was such a big impact. So, would have gone years and years in the same cycle. Maybe I would have broke out of it. Maybe I wouldn't. Probably I would not have. We would have been the same cycle we were in. Again, guys, this is after I'd been coaching for a while and gone through medical school and residency and done all this training. Okay, after all that, right, is when we finally made these adjustments, when I finally was humble enough to get some outside perspective. So again, instead of going years in the same cycle, we made huge improvements in a matter of weeks. And so now, I'm much more open to my wife's feedback towards me, which was a big thing, right? I'm able to see, oh yeah, I remember those patterns that our coach pointed out, and now I can see those much more clearly. Okay. And even just recently, right, I'm much more open to her feedback. She was saying, hey, I didn't feel very emotionally supported with this surgery coming up. And when I looked, I saw, you know what, she's right. I was kind of trying to protect myself because I was scared about her surgery. By the way, everything turned out well. I appreciate you guys' concern for me and my wife. But yeah, like that wasn't a good way to go about it. She felt alone. And that was a big part of the pattern that she pointed out, was me kind of leaving her feeling alone by trying to protect myself. Okay. So she pointed that out again. It reminded me, it's like, oh yeah, right. I need to, be focused on her, not so much myself. Okay. So and still I receive coaching. I participate in accountability. Part of the group, right? The group, the way it is now in my program, there's daily accountability built in. And it's powerful for me because I know there's guys waiting to see if I'm doing what I'm asking them to do, right? It pulls me towards that. And it's powerful, right? Because there's a little bit of improvement every day. And now I value outside information a lot more so I can get insight into my own blind spots. I know I have them, and I appreciate people who can point those out and have the training to point those out, right? So in summary, like I'm all for self-help and self-improvement. I think we want to be continually learning and growing, right? And look, as high achieving men, we're used to doing things on our own and kind of taking input and feedback and going out and achieving what we want to achieve. But look, if you're not getting the results that you want from self-help, what that means is you have blind spots like everybody else. Okay. And you need someone to be able to point those out for you. You need an outside perspective to really identify them well. Okay. So that you can change them and get the marriage you want. It doesn't have to take long, guys. A trained person like me can see those blind spots quickly and help point them out so you can make changes really fast. Okay, it's what I do every day. Well, every weekday, right? Weekends I take off to be with the family. But we get in the program, you have accountability every day. You're posting something every day that I look at and help you identify those blind spots. We do a group call so we can do those things live, do role plays, things like that. And just see those blind spots, right? It's funny when we do these things, like especially if I can, later on, a lot of times the guy will join and then their wife will join in with them, and we can kind of like do it right in real time. They're like, oh shoot, yeah, I'm doing it again. I'm not listening again. I'm, talking over her again. I am doing the mosquito cycle again. They don't see it until it gets pointed out. There's nothing wrong with them. These are smart guys. Like the guys that come into the program, I say high achieving guys because that's how I like to work with, these guys that work hard, right? But it's not that they're stupid or whatever. They just have blind spots like all of us do. Okay. So if you are ready to humble yourself enough to come in and get feedback and coaching so you can see your own blind spots, right? And make progress that would take you years and years, or maybe you'd never make that progress in a few days, a few weeks. The program's 90 days, but in those 90 days, like the breakthroughs come much sooner, right? It's more like cementing those over the 90 days. So come join us in Love, Intimacy, and Legacy is the name of the program. 90 days, transform your marriage, see those blind spots. Visit MikeFrazierMD.com or visit StrongMenStrongMarriages.com if that's easier to remember. Frazier spelled Frazier, so MikeFrazierMD.com. Also in the show notes, you'll have a link to this. You come, you schedule a call, you fill out an application, I review it, and we see if we're a good fit to work together for you to really transform your marriage. All right, men. So come join me there, fill out the application, stay strong, and I'll see you next episode.